Hey, this is Joanne with Broadcast Sunny. I am here interviewing with Emma G. Ruse. She is an author of two books and the founder of Imperative Press. This is part 4 of a 4-part video series. You can see the rest of the interview on the writing playlist of the Broadcast Sunny channel, and find the link in the description box of this YouTube page or on the info cards. This video we discuss how she got her book on other sites other than Amazon. Be sure to watch this before you publish your book or decide how you're going to publish. And she does also go into book marketing, including the book launch. Some tips about that, and other things about everything books. If you are watching this and you have not subscribed yet, I hope you will consider it. Enjoy the video. If you're not using it through Amazon, then how do you print your book?
I print my book through Ingram. You've heard me mention them a couple of times. Ingram Spark. And I like them because they have integrated distribution, which means that when I publish a hardcover book like this, or not hardcover, but a physical copy book on Ingram, then it is automatically, the listing for the book is automatically sent to everyone, essentially. So if you Google or use your search bar for Nothing's Ever Lost, my first book, you will find it on Target.com, on Walmart.com, on BarnesandNoble.com. Basically, everyone who sells a book has it on their digital listing because Ingram sent it to them and said, this is a book that's available in the universe. Would you like to list it?
Now, if I went to Target and found your book and wanted a paperback, can I get it as a paperback from Target or?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
You won't be able to walk into a Target store and buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're not going to have it on the shelves, but you can order it.
Right. It's just nice to hear that you can buy the paperback in any store. That's interesting. Okay, I didn't know that, and I'm glad to hear that because I was a little nervous that Amazon was becoming a monopoly of books being published. Yeah,
they definitely. There are a lot of people who go exclusively through Amazon, and if you are writing, there's a philosophy of writing that some authors use that's writing to market, right? And if you're in some of the same groups as I am online, you've probably heard people talk about writing to market, which means let's look at what the market wants, let's look at what people are reading, and we'll write books like that.
Right.
I guess I could choose to do that, but I choose not to.
Right.
Because I have specific stories that I want to tell, and quite frankly, they're not to market. My books are weird. They're strange. My first book is about 2 teenagers who are traveling through the afterlife and trying to hold their friendship together on the journey. That's my first book.
It's a lot like Dante's Inferno there.
Yeah, only
a
funny,
younger version. Like, funny.
A younger, funny version. It really is funny. A younger, funny version of Dante's
Although they're
Inferno.
going through you didn't say hell, they're going through the afterlife, which is different.
Right.
Yeah.
It is different. It is not hell, though parts of it aren't awesome, but it's not hell.
Frankly, I think Dante's Inferno was Dante having issues with people and he was getting it out.
Yeah, there's definitely, I mean, not to like verge into literary criticism, but there's definitely in Dante's Inferno, there's a lot of political satire, a lot of real life people being made fun of or ridiculed or but anyway, the point
sorry, go ahead.
The reason that I bring this up, this writing to market concept, is if you're doing that and your intention is to just like sell a bunch of books and then write another book really quickly and then sell a bunch more books and just like sell hundreds and thousands of books by writing huge volumes, then publishing directly through Amazon is fine. Like if your goal is just to use this as a money-making process,
right,
then yeah, sure, publish directly through Amazon.
Right.
I don't publish directly through Amazon because, as I said earlier, I believe in independent everything. I believe in independent business. I believe in independent publishing, and I believe in independent booksellers. And I want to support them, and I want to keep them in my community. So I publish through Ingram because I want my local independent bookstore, the Briar Patch, to be able to have my book on their shelves. They're not going to do that if I'm published through Amazon.
Right.
I want to have in-person events at those bookstores where I get to meet my fans, because that's like the coolest part of being an author in my mind. Somebody walks up to you and says, hey, I read your book and it made me feel like I wasn't alone. Okay, well, I'm done. That's all I needed out of life. So that's why I publish not through Amazon. And I want, it does limit me in some ways, but it also opens up other opportunities.
How do you approach a bookstore to say, I'd like to market my book here? I mean, to have my book on your bookshelf.
Okay, everybody thinks this is super hard. It's really, really not. Here's what you do. You find their contact information.
Yeah.
You email them.
Yeah.
And you ask. That's it. Now, there are ways that you can make this more likely.
Do you send them a copy though?
No. I have run across one bookstore, one independent bookstore, let me say. I mean, like, if you're looking at Barnes & Noble or something, then yeah, you probably have to send them a copy. Mm-hmm. But I've met one independent bookstore that has asked me to send them a free copy. And I was like, really?
Yeah.
But every other one that I've approached, here's how you make it more likely that they will pick up your book. One, start with your local bookstores. So I'm in Maine right now, and I live about half the year in Maine. So I think the Briar Patch, which is right down the road, is my local bookstore, right? So of course I went to them first, and I went to all the bookstores in Maine, and I said, hey, I'm a Maine author, which means I'm in the local section, right? I'm local. I'm a hometown girl. Take my book, right? So they're way more likely. Then I went New England, which again, there's like New England authors is a thing. Yeah. So they're most likely. But then if you're willing to do an event at a bookstore, if you say, I want to come and I want to do an event, then they're very likely to pick up your book, because the more foot traffic they have in the store, the more books they sell, the happier they are.
Right.
Now, doing events is a whole other thing that we can talk about, and we talk about marketing a little more, but to talk about getting into bookstores, here's how you get your book into a bookstore. You write them a professional sounding email that says, dear name of bookstore owner. You will be able to find this online if you Google, I promise. Dear name of bookstore owner. I'm publishing a book. Here's what it's called. I like to say that I'm Imperative Press Books because that's the name of my publishing house, and it sounds just a tiny bit more professional so they don't think you're self-published and they know you're independently published, and that's different.
I think being on Ingram Sparks would get them interested.
And Ingram, you tell them, I am on Ingram. So where this book is available on Ingram, you tell them the price, you tell them the genre, you give them the ISBN so they can look it up in Ingram themselves.
And to you writers who are watching this right now, Ingram, if you want to get into libraries, you got to publish through Ingram. It won't happen through Amazon. I just thought I'd put it out there. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
And if you want to be in independent bookstores, you have to publish through Ingram. It won't happen through Amazon.
I know someone who did. Like I said, there was a lot of argument, but
they don't like it.
No, they were not pleased. Even though it was selling off the shelf, they were not pleased. But okay.
No. Part of the reason, I mean, we talked about it being a competition, right? That's their direct competition, and they don't want to be supporting Amazon, because that's essentially what they're doing when they buy a book from Amazon to resell. The other reason is that Ingram distributes books. So your local bookseller will go and buy 100 books from different authors, right? They'll order them all through Ingram and have them shipped all at once. There's none of this like calling up the author and saying, oh, I need 4 more copies, which again is a self-publishing thing, right? Some bookstores will do that for you, especially if you're local. But, I have books in a bookstore in Oklahoma. They're not going to call me and have me ship them books. That's silly.
Right.
So they order directly through Ingram. It comes with Ingram. It comes with their regular shipment. Easy day. So tell them the price, tell them the genre, tell them a 1-line or 2 lines, maybe, description of what the book is. And if there's a way, do some sort of tie-in. So for my main place is it's easy. I'm a main author.
Right.
But if it's not, then say, hey, I saw you had such and such an author in your bookstore 2 weeks ago. I think the readers there would like this book, and here's why. Or this book, I'm a main author, but this book is set in Massachusetts, and you're a Massachusetts bookstore. So, maybe you'd want to sell it in your store because your readers will like that they're reading about a book that's set in their home state.
Right.
So whatever you can think of that's going to make that connection.
Okay.
I've even started some of them with, I was in your bookstore and it was so cool. I would just love to have my book on your shelves. Sometimes that's enough because they like to know that you've been there.
Okay.
So really, I mean, people get in their heads about this.
I did know one author who
not scary.
Also, she did a bunch of book showings or signing all along the coast. And that's how she got into the bookstores along the coast. That was interesting, yeah. But
yeah, and that's basically what I did with Nothing's Ever Lost. Obviously, I'm not going to do that with Near Life Experience because of the current climate, but I did do a bunch of book signings when Nothing's Ever Lost came out.
And that basically, to me, went over a lot of the marketing as well, because I had a marketing question there. Although I am curious, I have been to a couple of, what do they call when they debut the novel?
Like a book launch?
That's it, a book launch. I don't know why it escaped my mind, but it did. Anyway, I've been to a couple of them, and they're fun. They're actually, I was surprised at how fun, and I would go to them again, although I never see them advertised. But my concern is if I was going to do a book launch, nobody's going to show up. I feel like nobody's going to come.
Let's talk about that, because that's the number one thing that a bookstore is going to ask you is, can you bring in people? And a lot of authors are very disappointed because they'll plan this book launch. In their mind, it's this huge event. It's this big party, and no one shows up.
Oh, not mine. Mine is nobody showing up.
So here's how, okay, you are completely in control of this. Well, not completely in control, but there's a lot of control you have over this situation. And the mistake people make is thinking that all they have to do is say, hey, I'm having a book launch, and people will show. When I was planning my book launch, which, by the way, that's what this poster's from, my book launch. It's a printed poster. I walked around town, and my mom walked around town, and we put these in cafes and in the local independent bookstore and at the library and anywhere where they have posters and are willing to put up flyers like you see of, local theater events and things. So that was part of our campaign to make sure people came. I wrote press releases. And I sent them to all the radio stations around here and the news stations and the newspapers and everyone, right? So I sent it to all the media outlets. And frankly, you have to find some sort of hook, right? And this is me speaking as a journalist now.
I agree with you. You do need a hook, because even as going to them, I went for a friend, but I did enjoy myself when I finally went. It's like, I don't know if I just saw it on the billboard, like your poster, I don't know if that would get me in. So yes, go for it. I'm curious about this part.
So I wrote a press release, and one of my hooks was that it was my first novel, which gets people excited. I'm
really?
Local. It can, like, some people are like, oh, that's interesting. I'm local, so that was important. Again, like, oh, Maine author. There aren't a lot of people in Maine, so they're always very proud of us. We have Stephen King as our big local guy.
Yes, I know Maine. I have heard their tight-knit group, we'll say.
Yeah. So if you can talk about the fact that you're local, talk about the fact that it's at a local place, so a local bookstore or a local another local business, partner with somebody. So maybe you're going to do a raffle, or maybe you're going to do some sort of fundraiser, something that gives people another reason to get involved. For mine, it was a book signing, a meet and greet, and everyone who walked through the door got a raffle ticket for a prize pack.
Okay.
Um, and so it was like, it was an activity, it was an event. When you talk about like a book signing sounds very cerebral. It sounds like we're all going to sit there and like
Yes.
in tweed
Yes.
jackets and like smoke our pipes and say,
Yes.
oh yes, well, I felt that the third, you don't want that. You want this to be a
Right.
party. You want it to be an event,
Right.
right?
Yes.
So I promised food, and there was food, and there were
Food.
snacks,
Yes.
and there were,
I had
there were
cupcakes
signings.
when I
There
went. I was
cupcakes,
like,
yes.
cool.
Market the food because people love food.
I know.
So
I was very happy about that. I enjoyed the book reading part, and that part I thought I was
mhm.
going to be like, but I enjoyed the reading part. I was surprised by that.
I think a lot of people, if you are make smart choices about which passages you read and how much you read, because I went to one where the author just read too much. She read like two
Uh,
chapters, and I was like, this is a
uh,
great, I'd already read the book and I really liked it, but like I didn't need to hear it read two
that
chapters
much.
while I was sitting in an uncomfortable chair, right?
Yeah.
So um I would say get the word out, tell everyone, invite everyone, treat it like a wedding. Like keep talking about it, don't shut up about it, put it in your newsletter, put it on your website, put it on your social media, talk to the radio station, the television station, talk to the random person at the grocery store, get bookmarks made or stickers so that people see your book and are like, what is that, why do I keep hearing about it? Part of marketing is to make whatever you're doing seem ubiquitous. It seems like it's everywhere, right? And so for local people here who were in like the radius to come to my book signing, they kept hearing about it. They kept seeing it because I made a huge effort to keep pushing it in front of people.
Okay.
You might think you're being annoying, like, oh gosh, how many times am I going to mention this? But it's really funny. Okay, right now I'm working on, which we talked about kind of in the before meeting here, but right now I'm working on an anthology. I'm collecting works from Maine authors. We're putting it in an anthology to support the United Way of Eastern Maine and their COVID-19 relief fund.
Mhm.
I'm super excited about this project. It's the first project that my publishing company has done that isn't my book. So like, it's so cool. It's so exciting. And I keep talking about it. And like almost every post I've made on social media in the last few weeks has been about this project. I was on the radio, I was on the television. I did all the things. And yet sometimes I direct message people who have, a professional connection with in the state of Maine. And I message them and say, hey, I'm doing this project and I just wanted you to know about it. And, if you'd like to contribute, here's how. So many of them said, oh, well, I hadn't heard about it yet.
Hmm.
So I feel like I'm just blanketing the world, and like everyone who talks to me must be sick of hearing about this, yet there are people who haven't heard about it.
Okay.
So you are talking about it all the time, you're thinking about it all the time, you feel like you're doing, you're becoming annoying, or you're just like over and over, that's all you talk about. In reality, you have to mention it a lot of times, because to you, this book is the most important thing that's ever happened, right? Like, this is your baby, and you have spent months or years putting this thing together and working lovingly on it, and now you're putting it out into the world, and it's so important, and nobody but you cares as much as you do, except maybe like your mom or your grandma or something. But nobody has that deep connection to it that you do. And so you're going to talk about it all the time and think, oh, I must be annoying people, but they haven't really heard you the first 3 times.
Mhm.
You haven't said it in the right way or at the right moment for them to clue in that this is what you're talking about. And so I think that the secret for a lot of people is they think marketing is hard. It's not. It's just knowing what you have to do and then making a plan to do it. And they think that they're going to be annoying or they're going to be icky. Icky. I hear that a lot. Marketing's icky. Um,
Yeah,
it's icky.
it feels as if you're a snake oil salesman. I understand it, and it almost, I'd say it almost feels like begging. And I understand why people feel it's icky, but it's a good product and you should be paid for your work.
Okay. So marketing for most people is a mindset issue, right? Your mindset is that it's icky. Your mindset is that I'm begging someone to buy. You're
Mm-hmm.
not begging someone to buy. In fact, I don't want everyone to buy my book. There are lots of people who I would say this book isn't, you probably don't want to buy
Mm-hmm.
this. It's not your thing. If you're looking for a romance, this is not your thing. if you're looking for like real horror, like Stephen King style horror, not your thing. And I don't want you to read it if that's what you're looking for, because it's not going to be the book for you.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm looking for are those people who are just thrilled to be reading my book. And there are people out there I know who all I have to do is talk about it, and they're like, where can I get this thing? Right? Those are the people that I want to read my book. And my goal as a marketer is not to get everyone in the world to buy it. It's not to trick anyone into buying a book that isn't right for them. My goal as a marketer is to make sure that those people who need it, who want it, who really would be changed by it or moved by it or feel connected to it, that those people know it exists and know where to get it.
Mm.
That's what I'm doing.
And in my perspective, if I think logically rather than nervous about the whole situation, is that in order for you to keep bringing this, because people do love it, and if you want to keep bringing it, it is an art form. You do need to be paid, and I think that's a problem with a lot of art forms, is they don't get paid.
Mm-hmm.
So because people think, oh, it's easy, but it's I
Yes,
understand why they think it, but
but they're wrong.
they're wrong. We'll all do it then. Okay.
Go ahead.
Good. And it takes up a lot of time, tremendous amount of time. And I know also mentally exhausting to write. But yeah, thank you so much, Emma. I think you've gone over so much things I did not think about nor understood the importance of going through Amazon and Ingram. I always heard Ingram. I've never used it, and yes, I did publish on Amazon, but I think I might look into that in the future, because I was unaware that Ingram was a publishing body that you can that it will print your books as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming it's print on demand, or is it?
It's print on demand, so you can order a case or you can order one.
Okay.
And bookstores can do the same. So some of my independent bookstores order 1 to 3 copies at a time. But for example, when I was doing my book launch, I wanted to make sure I had all the books ready to go. And because it was the day that my book was made available, the bookstore couldn't have ordered it in time. So I as the author was able to order copies ahead. I ordered like 3 cases of books.
Okay.
And sold all of them.
Okay.
So yeah. So you as the author can order copies at basically the cost rate, so the cost of printing and shipping, and that's it. I understand that Amazon, when you order a print book, even as an author copy, they tend to be a bit pricey. That's what I've heard. I don't really know, because I haven't done print books through Amazon.
I know you get a discount, but I don't know what it is compared to Ingram. But you do get a discount. Well, you have to buy in bulk, though. What's that?
Ingram also has many options for trim sizes, which is
I gotta tell you, that's what's been driving me nuts. I've been imaging this one book I want, but I want a particular size.
Look at Ingram.
And I also
have
want a particular paper.
Number.
Do they give you?
Yep.
That's the other thing. I want a particular paper, and they don't have it on Amazon.
Yeah, they have dozens and dozens of different trim sizes. So my first book was it was like a 4x6, because it's a little bit more like graphic novel size almost.
Yeah.
Just like a bigger, floppier thing. This is more what I think of as like a traditional book size, which is like 5.25 by 8. I think
that
7.
looks like a size that they do have on Amazon, but
yeah, this is a pretty classic size.
Small size for this one book. I'm gonna look into that now. A small size, and then, because actually I haven't published it yet. And then there's another book I'm thinking of writing, but I want a particular paper, and that sounds weird, but there you go.
No, and you may be able to do that on Ingram. So yeah, I've enjoyed working with Ingram. The distribution is unparalleled. There's no other way you can get the distribution. I've had buyers in Great Britain. I've had buyers all over the place. And it's you don't have to do anything. You don't have to go out of your way. The only people you have to contact directly, if you want to, is independent bookstores, only because there's no reason why they'd see your book over any other unless you tell them. But the big publishing houses, the big distribution places, it will automatically, they won't even necessarily know. It'll just be part of their catalog. So yeah, it's a cool thing. It's very cool. If you want to do ebooks, there is some value to going directly for ebooks. So going through Amazon for your ebook.
Yeah, that KDP is nice.
Yeah, and that allows you to advertise your ebook on Amazon, which you cannot do if you are not published through Amazon. So that's the thing to think about with ebooks. But with print books, I would go Ingram forever. I wouldn't do any other option. And I've even I looked at, what is it, Book Baby, Book something else.
That sounds familiar, but I can't think of it either.
They do, again, print on demand. They do some distribution, but their pricing just wasn't the same. It was fewer options and higher pricing, and I couldn't justify doing it. So
now, is your publishing company Imperative? Are they taking book submissions?
At this moment, I am not taking. If you sent me the exact right book, I would work with you. I've not yet opened up for submissions, but let me tell you what Imperative Press publishes. We publish voices that are niche. Okay. So that means if you are writing to market, we're probably not the publisher for you.
Right.
If you are writing something that you're I know that there's this tiny group of people who are going to be super excited about this, and a lot of other people might not get it at all, we want to do it. If it's super weird, if you want to tell me a story about a man who saves his kingdom during wartime by quilting, yeah, let's publish that. And you laugh, but that's a real story that a friend and I are working on. So those are the stories that are just the odd and the ones that you think, how
the
will I ever get
projects, not
the passion projects. Yes.
Not the money makers. Yeah, I hear you.
And that passion projects can be money makers. I'm not
yes,
saying
it could. Right. I should say not made to make money. They're made because you want this story to be a thing.
Yes. I want it to be a story that you're just 110% on fire about. And if you make money doing it, wonderful. And if you find 10 people who are just in love with what you're doing, also wonderful.
Well, and
before we
go ahead,
I want to tell you a story about something that happened to me when I was on a TV show here in Maine. We have a night talk show called The Night Show. And I was at the taping for this show, and I was one of their featured guests, and I talked about my book, Nothing's Ever Lost, and I told the story of why I wrote the book, which is that my 17-year-old cousin died by suicide, and Nothing's Ever Lost was me dealing with this event. And I told this story, and the host asked me some questions, and I answered them. We had a nice little chat, and I went off stage. The next day, I got a direct message on Twitter. And it was somebody who said, I was there at that taping, and I want you to know that I've struggled with depression and suicidal thoughts, and what you said really spoke to me, and I'm going to go read your book. Those are the interactions that I want Imperative Press to facilitate. If that's the kind of thing you're trying to do. It doesn't have to be that serious. It could be you just want to make people laugh about something that maybe they don't feel like they can laugh about. Or you want to remind people that you're not the only human in the world who thinks this way. That's what we're publishing.
You're looking for connection.
Yeah.
Sounds like, yeah. Yeah, I know that. as idea. I'm sorry, I'm in a book club and I was thinking of this book that I just read and I hated it. And I'm thinking, okay, I didn't connect. That's why.
Right.
It was just like a bunch of stuff happening. But thank you very much. And I appreciate it. This was very informative, far more. I see why V recommended you. It was very informative. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Glad to help.